Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back. So today we're going to be building a long-range FPV wing. Now the wing that I'm going to be using is the Zohd Orbit. I'm going to leave the default ESCs in the default motor because it is unbelievably efficient, and I'm going to be sticking lithium ion packs as well as lipos and seeing how long of a flight duration we can get and how far we can take it out. Now let's talk about some of the components that I'm going to be using here today. I'm going to be using the Matek F405 wing. Now I have tried the F405 wing and the F411 wing. Both are absolutely phenomenal, but for this setup I decided to go with the F405 wing. And you might say, why is that? Isn't it a little bit too much, or it's overkill? Well, actually it's really not, because we are going to be using the Runcam Split 2S, which is going to be our FPV camera as well as our HD recording camera, to reduce weight and reduce the total cost of anything going wrong and me losing another HD camera. And this is the reason why I'm doing this. Now I've also designed a bunch of 3D parts for the Zohd Orbit. Unfortunately, there isn't really much on Thingiverse for it, so I've gone ahead and designed a couple of things. As you can tell here, this plate is for the Runcam, or anything that's going to be 30 by 30, and what that will do is it'll mount in here and it'll just have a really nice snug fit. However, as you can tell, mine has become warped. It's due to the board here takes so much current and gets so hot that it actually warps the board sometimes. So that's why this is like this. So it's really nice. It has the 30.5 by 30.5 mounting holes, so you can mount just about anything. So that's where the camera is going to go here. Now I've also designed a piece for the AKK FX2 Ultimate. This is a little adapter which you basically just slide onto it. Now if you didn't have, let me show you actually where this goes. So I've designed this adapter, and the way that this will be placed is actually in here, and the friction, because I designed it just a little bit bigger, so the friction will actually hold this perfect right into place, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now if you didn't have a 30 by 30 VTX, what you can do is I've also took that into consideration, because I will also be testing a lot of VTXs on this, is I've set up slits so you can put zip ties and then just put that in, and there your VTX is holding into place. Now if you put it in, you have to put it in a special way. So if you put it in like this into it, it will just slide back and forth. This side is the side that's wider, so you can wrap your zip ties and have your VTX be just standing in the long run, just like this. So take that into consideration if you are going to be using this. So this is something I designed for the VTX. Also for the VTX antenna, it was kind of I wanted to design and 3D print stuff that's quickly printable and won't take much effort, no overhangs, so I don't have to do support and clean up. So I designed this little VTX mount, and this is designed to go up here just like this, and you're supposed to just glue that, just a couple dabs of glue right there, and you're going to be good to go. So this will allow me to change antennas very easily here. And also I've cut just the outline of this off of the top hatch, so I did have to cut something. All right, now also, if you noticed here, usually this comes with a wooden piece on the bottom, so I had to remove that. So what I started doing is I just got a screwdriver and I just kept poking below it, just kind of releasing the glue from that that wooden piece that was located here. And I've also removed the flight stabilizer that comes with this, because obviously I'm not going to be needing it because this is INAV conversion. So that's what I did. However, I did keep the ESCs and the stock ESC, stock motor, and stock servos here. Now, as you can tell, for receiver, I'm also using the R9 receiver, because obviously this is going to be long range testing. And what I've also designed is these PCB antenna mounts here, as you can tell right there. These are the flat PCBs to MMCX, and what I've done is I've just designed two pieces that'll just incorporate them in, as you can tell right here. And I just took a knife and then I just cut two slanted holes, and then I forced them in. Obviously these will be super glued. Just a tiny bit of super glue will hold them into place, and they are holding without any glue also, but just in case in flight I will be super gluing these into place here. And as you can tell, that's how it works right there. Just making sure I got the correct ones. So that's how I'm going to be setting up the antennas. Now I've actually been trying at this or thinking about the setup and trying different things for the past 2 days to keep the CG as perfect as possible. So for the bottom plate here, what I've also designed is this little piece right here. Out of the box, this comes with the battery straps coming out from here. So I did remove that, and I designed a new piece here because we had that wooden piece. So I needed something to shield the battery and also create good mounting straps for the battery so I can move it if I needed to move the CG back and forth. So I've designed this piece which takes advantage of the two slits here and also is somewhat of a tight fit, so you don't have to glue this, because I don't want anything to be permanent on this setup if I wanted to modify it, because because it's going to be a testing setup. So as you can tell here, you just put it in, and then just a little force here, and then it'll just go right in right there, and it'll slide into those slots. And this way it'll also protect the Matek F405 below it. I kept this opening so you can access the USB. Now we can't add the USB on that side because we will have a metal bar going through here. So let's just remove this. Perfect. All right, so let's see what's the first steps that we want to do now. Now what I want to do first, obviously, is I want to connect the ESC Power, and I will salvage this Xt60 connector. I'll also remove this because this was from the official Maiden. This was giving my VTX the power. So I'm going to be removing this right now, cutting this, and we're going to be installing it directly to the Matek here. And the Matek, I want to have it laid just like so. The arrow pointing to the left. Take note of the arrow because it's very important, so you can add your offset, because there's no way I could put this in like this how it's supposed to be, so I will be adding that offset. And I'll be probably just adding a dab of super glue below this, or hot glue, or I might just use double-sided tape to hold it in place, because we also have this cover on top of it, which will keep it nice and secure in there. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add double-sided tape just to have it in a temporary position for now. Maybe we might want to change something later on, so I don't want to keep it permanent just yet. Enough talking, and let me prepare everything, and let's just get started. Okay, so the first step is I'm going to give power to the ESC here, and as you can tell, this is the wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to route it all the way to the power, and the power is going to be any of those four right there. This is the battery input. So I'll just route it to the first one, so I think I'm going to cut that right about here is going to be good. So this is where I'm going to cut this wire. Perfect. And the double-sided tape just came off. All right, so we just got this done with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare these pads with some solder. All right, so this is the battery pad right there, and let's just add some solder to it here. The ground pads might be a little bit difficult to solder to, because the ground copper is all over the board here, so you might have to increase your temperature somewhat to get the ground pads to actually solder easily. So as you can tell, it wasn't that difficult, but there we go, we just got it. It's not nice and easy. All right, so that's done with here. Okay, so let's grab this back and make sure we install it like this. Now the reason why I'm installing it with the USB here is because when the metal bar that's holding the wings is going to go through, it would actually block the USB. So if I ever needed to access it, this will make it a lot easier for me. All right, so I'm going to prepare the wires here. Okay, so my wires are currently prepared now. I just trimmed them and added some solder. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the ground first. I think it'll be easier. So let's just do the ground here. I'm just routing the wire just to make it nice and neat. And we're going to install the ground right there to that pin, to that pad right there. So let's go ahead and get that done with. Maybe I should grab a tweezers here. These are awesome ceramic tweezers. I'll leave a link to them down below if you would like to get some for yourself, which I highly recommend you do actually. So make sure we're not going to burn any wires, and we're coming in. This is what I was talking about. The ground plane is going to be a little bit difficult to solder to. So we're just going to heat up the pad first before applying heat on the wire here. Okay. There we go. We have our ground for our ESC. So this is the ESC power currently. And now we're going to apply the power for the ESC. Okay. It's a bit far from me, but I think the job is getting done just right. All right, so now what we did here is we just finished the ESC power. This is the ESC power. We just trimmed it off, and that should be good in that perspective. Okay, I'm just gonna bring them in here just to make it nice and tidy. There we go. All right, so now the ESC's power is done. Next up, let's go ahead and start with our servos. Now the left servo, so this is facing forward now. The left servo is going to be servo 3, and the right is going to be servo 4. So this one is going to be servo 3 here. All right, so we're going to have to solder that servo. The white wire is going to go to S3, red wire VX, black wire to ground. So the S is basically the signal, and then the red and the black are basically the power. So I'm going to cut it right here. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at the wiring that's been done here and see how well I routed everything. So let's grab a closer look here. Now if we move these are the wires for the camera and the VTX, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. Now, like I mentioned, the servo on the left, which is that one, were to go to servo 3, which is going there. White to S3, the red is to VX, and the black to ground. And the S4, which is servo 4, is going to be the one on the right, which is this one enshrouded right to here. Now what I did is I cut this very short so I can reuse the servo connector for the S bus out from the receiver here, as you can tell. So as you can tell, S bus is connected right there. So we have S bus, and I don't know why they always put like 4.5 volt pad for the receiver. I don't use that. I went and found another 5 volt, as you can tell right there. Set up on a 5 volt, and I gave it a ground, and this is for the receiver here. Now, for the ESC signal, as you can tell here, now there's something very important with these ESCs, especially the ones with the 5 volt regulator on board. As you can tell, that red wire is not supposed to go anywhere. So make sure you trim it and make sure it's not going to touch anything and create a short circuit of any kind, which could be really bad and really devastating. So I'm going to put some tape on this just to cover it. So as you can tell, it comes with 3 colors. It comes with the red, black, and white, which means this is the 5 volt regulator that's from the ESC. So I removed that, and then I just soldered the S1 and the ground from the ESC. So it goes to S1, which is here close to the power rails. And the power rails for the ESC, as you can tell right there, they are connected here, and the battery is going to be connected here, which is the Xt60 that we basically salvaged from the ESC here, and it has enough wires so it can be used. I might go ahead and make this a little bit longer. I don't know just yet. And obviously I'm going to remove this JST connector here. Now let's take a look at the VTX wiring, how I've done this, the camera and the VTX wiring. Basically, if we take a look inside here, I've taped the Runcam Split here, and then the wires are running underneath the VTX. And remember how I showed you that adapter for the VTX, which is this one right here, which you can find everything on Thingiverse. So let's just take a look here. So here's the wire. They run here. I kind of cut a little slit so I could just, squeeze them in the bottom there just a little bit. And then here, this is totally fine. I put some tape just to keep them in place so they don't go all over the place, and then I don't risk basically damaging the wire. So as you can tell here, this is very well secured for the VTX. And the reason why I also covered these here is because of the bottom plate that I've designed here for it, which is just going to go on top right here, just like so. And just a little force that'll get right in there, and it'll take its exact position. This is not going to be going anywhere. It has a really nice tight fit on the sides, and it also has those slits to take over the battery, the battery strap that was already installed, which is something really nice, because I really did not want to have this be static in any sort of way, and I can remove it and easily change and modify, because this is a long range testing setup. As you can tell here, these go into the old battery slots here. Now all I'm missing here is the GPS. Now the GPS is currently it's being delivered right now. It's somewhere halfway to China and to me, and that will be installed on SCL and SDA, and it'll take 5 volts. Once I receive it, I'll show you where I'm going to install this. Now what I need to do is to add super glue. What I'm going to do is add, not super glue, hot glue. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue below the flight controller here, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the double-sided tape, because it's actually useless because we have a little dip here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue right there and right there, just a little dab right now. Do the trick just fine for this flight controller here. All right, there we go. Just a little bit, we don't need much, and then make sure it's aligned well. All right, that should hold very perfect right there. Okay, so basically now the flight controller is into place, and I can remove this whenever I want, which is really nice, because it's just the bottom plate that's now that's been what is it called, glued. I could still remove the flight controller if I wanted to, as you can tell right there. So that's something really nice. Now the next step I want to glue is the VTX here. So here's the VTX, the SMA port for the VTX, and like I mentioned, I made this really small on purpose so it prints fast. It's just a quick print for everybody, because I really do hate waiting for prints here. And what we want to do is we want to keep it sticking out just a little bit, so it'll still be easy for you to remove and install antennas without having to have a really bad time doing it. And as you can tell here, if we bring in the top cover, obviously because this is not glued yet, it'll be just like this, and it's plenty enough space right here. I'll probably put some tape here and a little bit of tape to cover it, or do something here to make it a little bit neater and nicer, because I think I cut too much there. So let's just add a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to add the hot glue on the sides here, and a little bit, just a little little line right here. I think that should do the trick. So here's a little bit, and here's just a little line. And theoretically, that should hold perfect. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's see. We should have maybe sanded down a little bit of the foam before doing this, but I think it's going to be fine here. Okay, so I think it's dried. It's still drying, so we're not going to add any pressure on it just yet right now, and just let it dry for a little. It's got a really nice grip here, and it's somewhat flexible, so we're not going to be breaking anything anytime soon. So it does have some give in case of crashes, and this is what I'm afraid of on Inav auto launch. Usually the first one is the scariest, and after that it just gets easier. Yeah, now for VTX and the camera here, what I've done here, since we're using the Runcam Split, I've decided to set it up on the 9-volt regulator. Now if we take a closer look here, hopefully you guys can see that. We have the top one is cam, this is yellow, this would be the yellow wire of your camera. The second one is ground, that would be the black wire from your camera. And the 9-volt, that's also the red wire of your camera. And on the bottom is the same thing, but the green wire here is actually the yellow wire from the VTX. So this will be, so basically the camera would go into this board, pop through that OSD, and then pop out to the VTX, and then just get transferred down your goggles from here. So it's really simple. Just follow it, cam, VTX, and you're good to go. Just give it the power, and you're set in that perspective. Now for the Runcam Split, I used tape, and that's gonna hold really well. And obviously I'm gonna have to figure something out for the Runcam here. Maybe I can make another hole just to keep it cool, or just nice airflow going to it, because it does get pretty toasty in there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and glue my antennas here in place. I'm not gonna add too much glue, so it could be easier to remove later. Okay, so this is dripping everywhere now. Okay, so we set that up. All right. Starting to take shape, and I really want to have everything be built inside. I want to try to keep everything that's sticking out to a minimum. For example, just the antennas, and I really am trying not to set up the GPS inside. I really hope, because I'm planning on setting up the GPS here, and I'm really hoping that there's not going to be enough, there's not going to be a lot of interference, or it's just going to work fine, so I can keep it here. Because if it's having a lot of interference in this area, because we do have the ESC here, and we have a 900 megahertz receiver here, receiver, we might get interference on the GPS, thus not allowing it to lock very easily or gain a lot of GPSs or GPS signals. So we might have to like put it back here, like make a little cutout for it, or maybe set it up here, but I don't think I would set it up next to the 5.8 gigahertz here. So probably somewhere back here or something, or on the side here, which somewhere where there's a lot of foam, so I don't really ruin or damage or reduce in the structural integrity of the plane here. Alright guys, so this is what the final result is going to be almost looking like. All we're missing now is the GPS. I'm waiting for that to come in. Part 2 of the video, I will be installing the GPS, showing you where I installed it, and begin the configuration of the Inav configurator basically. So I'll show you how to set everything up, and we're going to test everything, and then we're going to take it out for its first maiden. Now I'm really excited for this for a couple reasons here actually, and the reasons being is the amount or the efficiency this plane has, and what I also purchased, which are these 3ADXR lithium ion packs. This is a 3120 milliamp lithium ion pack, so I'm getting double the amount, actually more than double the amount of my current 1500 milliamp batteries with this, which is going to be pretty damn insane. And not only that, they're also 4S, so that can give me a little bit more power when I need it, so I should be able to even fly at a lower C rate to get this thing going, which is really nice. And these are really nice. I highly check them out, especially if you're in the Europe basically, because I got these from the UK. Unfortunately, just yesterday the UK left the European Union, so I don't know what's going to happen with the tax and customs, but I lucked out on these, and I purchased some of these before that happened, which I'm very happy for actually. They also do have these little flat packs here. These will fit here, but the CG is going to be a little bit weird. I might have to design a special adapter for it, but currently I'm just going to stick to this because I can just interchange between lithium polymers and lithium ions, and it should be pretty interesting. As you can tell here, it's a really big difference actually. It's quite dramatic. So, and maybe later on I'm going to try to get the 2170 Tesla lithium ion cells, so I can make a 4S pack here, and that'll give us probably like 3 hours of flight time. So I'm very curious to see how well this is going to stack up. And right now I'm just waiting for the GPS. I do have another GPS, but I need to go get one of the models that I lost back, which was the Zohd Nano Talon. All I want it back for is the Matek that's in it and the GPS, and I care less about anything else that's on it, and maybe the motor. So I really want to get that one back so I can put the GPS, or just wait for the shipping here, or probably salvage it from another some kind of a quadcopter or something, and then to have it set up here. Now, as you can tell here, the 3D printed parts are holding very well. This down here is not going anywhere because of the slits, and you can use the battery strap to move it back or forth, so you can kind of get the CG just right. This CG seems to be just about perfect, which I'm really happy about currently, but I won't know until the GPS is in, and basically that's it. And then obviously from different battery to battery, the CG changes slightly, but it's a very easy fix. You just move the battery back and forth. But overall it came out really nice and really clean, probably cleaner than my quad builds, and I'm very satisfied, and it's looking like a really proper setup here. Now let's just hope we don't crash it on the first flight with Inav killing it, and then hopefully it won't. I'm gonna do manual launching and not doing the auto launch first, and then until I get it right. My S800 auto launch is like a beast. This one I might have to copy the same settings from my S800 to have it launch like a beast, but again the motor is a little bit less powerful than that one, but again it's really efficient, so I'm gonna have to increase the throttle at which the launch is gonna go at. And well, that's currently it, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Part 2 will be up very soon, as soon as I receive the GPS, plus the weather isn't that great, so even if we finished it now, we wouldn't have been able to mate in it. And stay tuned, we will get into the programming side on the second video once I install the GPS, and then we can take it from there. So that's going to conclude it for part 1, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. If you want to see more conversion kits or conversion videos to airplanes, let me know down in the comment section. That'll help the channel get these airplanes to do these kinds of things, and it's actually really fun and really interesting, and it's different than building quads, really, because you have to calculate everything. Well, not calculate, you have to just think about where everything is going to go, so you kind of keep that CG just right. And then, you know, you have so much space, like it's not that much space, but it's a lot more than quadcopters, where, you know, you could actually design something to fit in there, then, you know, and make it really nice and good in that perspective. So for example, if we were constantly a little bit too much tail heavy, what I can do is just increase the width of this, or the height of this. That'll increase the weight slightly, and that'll probably just make it perfect. Or maybe increase a little bit more here, like a wall or something, which is something I'm finding to be really awesome. And I'm just still new to this, but I'm to be honest, it's really, you get a lot more satisfaction when building a plane for some reason. I don't know, maybe because I built so many quads, and it just feels really nice when you build a working plane with GPS, autopilot, and it just feels awesome. It's really cool. It's crazy. You flip a switch, leave it, and next thing you know, it's flying over you, waiting for you to land it. I really like that, actually. And I would highly recommend you try it out. But what I highly recommend is you try out something like this, actually, but the default, so you get an idea of how it flies, so you don't ruin it, because that inbuilt stabilizer for the Zohd is absolutely spectacular. It won't let you do anything stupid, which is something you really want when starting out. Now, I started out absolutely like with no stabilization. I wrecked that thing, which was the Sonic AR600 a while ago, a couple weeks ago actually, when I started. No, a month ago maybe. I don't know when I started, but now, yeah, you just need to get something with a stabilizer so you get the feel for it and get a feel for the launching, so you don't just break them. So that's my recommendation, at least. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do like this content, please consider joining my Patreon. You can also click the links down below. Those greatly support the channel. I have a link to everything here down below. Check those out. Those greatly support the channel. It'll enable me to do more stuff like this. And, well, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.